Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me for this Manifest with the Moon video. Today we're actually looking at the waning crescent phase. It's sometimes known as the balsamic phase. And it's when the moon is diminishing. She's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We've passed the last quarter. And this is the time of the month of the moon month, when the moon energy can really lend itself to a lot of internal reflection, and we're kind of slowing down. We can do some still steady, consistent progress, but we're slowing down and we're moving towards the point where we're going to engage in a whole new moon phase of manifestations. We're going to focus on new moon wishes and intentions. So there's usually ample opportunity in the lunar energy at some point during this week to really slow down and also be given information that we can invest in our new moon wishes and intentions. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the specific dates that run between Monday the 19th of September and Saturday the 24th, which is the period that we're going to be in. Interestingly enough, I actually think there's it's quite a lovely kind of slightly optimistic potential during this week. We do have quite a strong spike of more intense energy on the 22nd. And I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm just going to go through the week. But overall, this is a really interesting energy running through this week. We've had a lot of background noise, a lot of upheaval going on, lots of things coming into our lives that are actually presenting us with different challenges that we need to either assess. Well, we do need to assess, we need to evaluate, we need to decide what we're going to do, whether we're going to engage further with things, whether we're going to walk away, whether we're going to adapt, whether we're going to course correct. There's just a ton of stuff coming in, and it can feel like a little bit of an overload at times. That's how the energy's been. It's been a bit intense. This is a week when I think we begin to start to formulate our ideas, goals, visions for the way ahead. And this is why this new moon that's coming up is so incredibly powerful, potent, and important. And it's why this week is particularly important, because the energy is just primed for us to begin to, to find some clarity as to how we are going to shift and move things forwards. Things are really going to become clearer for us. So I'm going to run you through the dailies. I'm going to run you through a little bit of an update daily. We'll have a brief look at the actual dynamics, and then, and then I will give you a little bit of an update on the way I'm going to be changing these moon update presentations a little bit. What I actually want to do is to bring you a whole moon month ahead of time, so that you can really ahead of time work with the energy and begin to plan around it in terms of your manifestations. Get a flavor of the entire month rather than just moon phase week by week. So I'll add a little bit of a video on at the end as well about that. So on Monday, the moon is in Cancer, and the lunar energy is really beginning to shift into a place where we can look ahead and connect in with just valuable ideas. So be focused and think big, but also be aware of the kind of limitations that come if we try to sort of imagine so big that we lose track of reality. If you spread yourself too thin, basically, you're not going to be able to manifest any of it. So that's the kind of flavour of the day. On Tuesday, the moon moves from Cancer into Leo, and there is a void of course space between 15:56 and 20:38 GMT. Despite the theme of challenges that have really been going on in the background for a little while, today, again, we see this sort of rising of newfound optimism. So even if you're still quite snowed under, I think you might be able to begin to catch those glimpses of stuff that says, do you know what, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. On Wednesday, the moon is in Leo, and she really adds her energy to this sort of ongoing dynamic of planning, progress, the forming of new ideas, pathways ahead. Her influence is actually pretty steady and also very present. You know, we can get very present with this kind of flavour, so use the day well, because actually tomorrow on Thursday, everything gets just a little bit more intense. On Thursday, the moon will leave Leo at 11:06 a.m. and enter a massive, it's over 20 hours of a void of course period. And this will really affect us all in different ways. Now, at the very same time, she makes an incredibly strong connection with Saturn. This could help you to consolidate your progress, but it can also sometimes suggest some more challenging circumstances that leave us feeling quite tired and quite emotionally low, the sort of stuff that taps into self-doubt. You know, maybe if we've expended lots of energy dreaming big, we suddenly hit that moment where we think, is this ever really going to happen? So there's quite an interesting flavour. I think the best way to really use this energy is to observe it. You know, notice what kind of situations throw you, and notice, even more importantly, the kind of things that help you to get grounded and to kind of cleanse yourself of this energy. At the end of the day, it's going to pass pretty quickly. On Friday, after a very long void of course period, the moon will enter Virgo. So we're going to feel quite a different shift in energy. And actually the overall flavour is far more relaxed than yesterday. Yesterday really was just a big spike bang in the middle of this moon phase. Now the overall astrodynamics do get a little bit dreamy today. Now this is lovely. On the other hand, we've also got the lovely Virgo influence, which kind of helps us to be quite practical and grounded and steady and make gentle progress. I think this is a super lovely connection and collaboration, because we can lean into an imaginative, creative space, but we can also make consistent practical progress as well. So yeah, I reckon this is a good day. Enjoy your progress, enjoy your dream time, whatever you're doing, just be steady and enjoy. On Saturday, the moon is in Virgo, and the lunar influence does follow on from the previous day with an incredibly creative flavour to the day. It looks to be a really good day to kind of push things forwards and invest in anything and everything that seriously floats your boat. So if you're having a quiet day, then let your mind wander and let your imagination roam into the territory of your best possible dreamscape. If you're having a busy day, then invest. Whatever you're doing, do something that feels good, because it's really going to help your own personal energy to align favourably, especially with the new moon coming in tomorrow when we set our wishes and intentions. So let me run you through a little bit of looking at the charts for the day, and then I will just give you a little bit of an update about how I'm going to be doing the future Manifest with the Moon videos every month. So this is the chart for Monday the 19th, and we can see the moon is down here in Cancer, and she's basically going to move past Lilith and all the way through. She'll move through Cancer, Leo and into Virgo, when she's going to come up here and join Venus and this little collaboration of planets that are over here. So in terms of just the background stuff that's going on, we still have this connection between Saturn and Uranus, but it's starting to diminish a little bit. It's not exact anymore, but it is still quite strong. This is the influence and energy that's giving us really quite a lot of disruption, a lot of stuff being brought to the surface that needs to be changed, restructured. This is the energy that's around us. Now, as you can see on the 19th, the moon is tuning in with the nodes in a very favourable way. The nodes, the North Node and the South Node, are very connected to our karmic pathway. They connect to, in many ways, the person we aspire to be, and also the life lessons and things that we have already in this lifetime, but also potentially past lifetime experiences. So it's kind of like a connection between where we've come from and what we've already learned, and the learning and the growth that we aspire to step into. So she's very favourably tuned in on the 19th with these two nodes. On Tuesday, the moon is going to be sitting opposite Pluto, and she's also tuning in very favourably with spiritual Neptune. I kind of feel like this is going to give us a bit of impetus. It's going to allow us to dream about the possibilities that we wish to bring into a space of transformation. It may, of course, also show us some of the things that aren't okay, that we need to transform. Either way, the dream time is available to really nurture possibility. As she continues to move, she actually connects incredibly favourably with the sun. So we have the creative spark of energy available for us as well. When she moves into Leo, she tunes in with a really lovely alignment that is taking place here between Mercury and Jupiter. Now, Mercury opposite Jupiter is an interesting energy because it brings big ideas. It brings the potential for planning and thinking about things. And the moon is really aligning and connecting in a lovely sextile here. So I do think there's this underpinned energy coming in at the beginning of this phase, the first few days, where we really are able to tune into the idea of things that need to be transformed, to be able to plan, to think ahead, to dream big. Yeah, just big ideas, big thoughts, big potentials. Now, on Thursday, we see what for me is the real biggie of the week, because she sits opposite, the moon will sit opposite Saturn and also connect in with Uranus. And as we know, Uranus and Saturn are already connected too. So we've got a really interesting and very strong dynamic. When the moon is opposite Saturn, sometimes we can feel quite despondent, tired, emotionally drained. We tend to have a more pessimistic outlook. So if we've been at the beginning of this moon phase expending a lot of energy into dreaming big and planning ahead, this could be the day when you feel like, why am I bothering? You know, maybe I'm investing all this thought into all these things and it'll never happen. It could trigger those elements of self-doubt. I think the very best way of handling this energy is to sort of become an observer of yourself, you know, consolidate things in real terms that are going on around you, but notice the things that throw you off balance, and most importantly, notice the things that allow you to rebalance. You know, this is going to be a fleeting influence, but it could feel quite strong. It could be a little jarring because of the connection to Uranus as well. But given that we're aware of this ahead of time, knowledge is power. This means that we can navigate this day particularly thoughtfully and particularly mindfully. Really prioritize your self-care. Now, the other very important thing that is actually happening between Thursday and Friday is that the moon enters a massive void of course period. It's absolutely huge. Now, a void of course is that space in between when the moon is not, she's left one sign and she's not yet in the next one. We can feel very out at sea, or we can feel completely liberated. Now, if that connection with Saturn has left you feeling quite low, quite down, and your mind has wandered into negative territory, it could kind of exacerbate that. So again, be very thoughtful of this. On the other hand, if you are trying to move forwards and there are some elements of self-doubt, you might find that you can really shake off that self-doubt and feel very liberated by this energy. It's really going to depend on how the void of course tends to affect you personally and in between those particular signs. As we move into Friday, we do see a really interesting dynamic taking place between Venus and Neptune. Now, this kind of opposition tends to suggest, I mean, it's actually quite dreamy. It's actually really rather lovely in one way. On the other hand, it can mean that we get a little bit idealized over things. We lose our grounding. Now, this is happening as the moon is coming through this void of course period and then coming into Virgo. As we move into Virgo, I think you might see a much more sort of consolidated shift in the energy, with the moon gaining traction and your own energy gaining traction again. But just again, be thoughtful about the idealization. Make sure that we don't use that element to overthink anything or to exacerbate any kind of negative thinking. You know, I think in many ways it should allow us to pick up and start to be very practical and move some of our dreams forwards and get back into that underlying element of positivity. But just be thoughtful about this dynamic and listen to the way that it affects you personally. As we move into Saturday, the moon connects incredibly favorably again with the nodes. Now, this is really rather lovely because these are these windows of operation, these windows of opportunity where we are tuning into our past experiences and we are looking at where we want to move forwards to and what we're striving to lean into and grow into. So this is a super, super lovely day to be quite methodical and quite steady in your planning and preparation for the new moon on Sunday. And we can see that as she progresses through Virgo on Saturday, she connects incredibly favorably with Uranus down here. And also there's a square with Mars. And although a square is a little bit discordant, actually, I think this connection is really going to give us energy and passion to put into our new moon wishes and intentions. The moon's connection with Lilith down here will put us in touch with our desires, and the lovely connection and flow with Uranus will help us to formulate those ideas, goals, visions of the future, those out-of-the-box potential solutions, the higher-minded solutions to the way in which we might want to invest in moving forward. So very relevant to setting intentions as well as wishes. So Super Souls, that was a little bit of a rundown astrologically looking at the week as well. Now, we know that manifestation, if you've been following these videos, you'll know that manifestation is very much about layers of information coming in and learning how to interpret those layers. We look at the phase of the moon, the zodiac sign that the moon is passing through, and the void of course periods. We then look at the other planets, which we have now done in this video. We then look at the soul growth layer, and this takes me very nicely into just telling you about the way in which we are going to be changing, or I am going to be changing, the way that I present these videos. Now, we are about to move from one tribal moon cycle into another. We're moving from the tree law of Hazel and setting sun woman, the keeper of future dreams, into a new moon phase of the tree law of vine and the moon phase of weaves the web. Now, I actually think it's going to be really helpful and most helpful in manifestations if I actually look at an entire moon month ahead of time. And for those of you that are using the Art of Manifestation Astro-Moon diary and journal, you'll be able to really tie in your learning and your journaling alongside these videos, and also by presenting the information one moon month at a time. For people who aren't using the diary or the journal, I think it will be easier for them to access the information as well. So I'm going to shift to working with a whole moon month. So in the next set of videos, we will start with the new moon and we will literally move through the whole moon cycle. I will put timestamps in it, of course, so you'll be able to access different bits at different times if you want to come back in and check with them. But I do think it's going to be a more helpful way of absorbing and accessing that information ahead of time. And as we often say, or I often say, knowledge is power. When we know what's going on ahead of time, we can really plan around it. So Super Souls, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you for some soon and some more soon. And thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing. You guys are just awesome.